All right. Historic players might have a little bit of a flashback seeing this one. So we have Indomitable Creativity here that destroys X artifacts and or creatures. For each one destroyed this way, you flip a creature or artifact out of your deck directly into play. And at the top end of our curve here, we've got one Velomachus Lorehold here, which can take extra turns with Time Warp. And we've got one Emrakul, the Aeons Torn. So this deck in Modern gets a little bit of redundancy against removal that the historic build didn't have, because you don't just play Velomachus to take turns, you also play Emrakul, so you're a little bit resilient to things like Path to Exile and other sweepers like that. It also means that you only basically have to take one turn. As you loop both of these into play, you attack with Velomachus, hopefully hit Time Warp, and then Emrakul is going to go ahead and clean up next turn. Another big thing in power level increase this deck gets over the historic deck that was played is that you get to play Dwarven Mine alongside fetch lands. So the historic builds played Dwarven Mine, but Dwarven Mine's a mountain, which means we don't just have 4 Dwarven Mines in this deck. We have, what do we have, 8, 10, 12 red fetches. So we technically have 16 virtual copies of Dwarven Mine to help us find things to target with Indomitable Creativity with our mana base. We also have, and this is a card that's coming to Historic soon that'll be interesting with Indomitable Creativity decks. So we have Hard Evidence, which creates a crab token and then investigates. So this is a 1 mana blue card that sometimes it cantrips for you when you don't have your combo set up, but when you do have Indomitable Creativity in hand, it is 2 tokens for the price of 1 card in terms of flipping both of these into play. We've got some Lightning Bolts and Prismatic Endings as interaction. We've got Wrenn and Six to rebuy fetch lands to be more Dwarven Mines. We've got Teferi to lock our opponent out of interacting with us. And then finally, we've got Nahiri the Harbinger here at the top end as a way to shift through cards in our deck. She gets Emrakul back into our deck, which is another reason to play her. You discard the Emrakul and then you can redraw it. And then her -8 lets you fish up Emrakul or Velomachus and attack your opponent with it. So an alt win con in her ultimate. So let's dive on into some matches here with this and see how our combo deck does this morning. Full Metal Adept, thank you for the 45 months. It's a long while. Welcome back. Good morning, good morning. Yeah, the collection of cards here is a little strange at a glance, but it's playing just a lot of like good Magic cards, right? Like Bolt, Prismari Command, Prismatic Ending are all like decent interaction. Teferi and Wrenn and Six are both cards that appear on their own. Like the number of cards in this deck that just like aren't playable cards that don't appear other places as low, and even Hard Evidence is just like a cantrip at worst, right? Yeah, I definitely think part of the strength in this deck is people looking at what you're doing and not realizing you're a combo deck if they don't see specifically the minor creativity early. Like someone could easily like thought seize the deck that we're playing and not realize exactly what we're doing depending on what cards are in our hand when they do it. Yeah, I mean this hand looks great, right? Sign me up. There's our friend, chat. The Dragon Rage Chandler. Alright, well now we just fetch Steam Vents and bolt this, right? I was going to play a tap land because I don't really need to do this on one, but the appeal of murdering this before it gets to start surveilling for them is high. Something that's also funny about Hard Evidence is it makes a 0/3 crab, so it gets to block Ragavan, which is good. feeling a little crabby, chat. I think I'm going to play the... I'll do this one. In case we draw Teferi next turn. Inspector Crab's on the case. He pinches, chat. Do you combo at 4 with creativity? Yeah, I think so. I think we're supposed to. I'll play a fetch land. I might cycle this turn. Remember, Dwarven Mine doesn't make a token until you have 3 other mountains. So, Dwarven Mine is not making a token until your 4th land, ever. One thing to keep in mind, I mentioned Path to Exile during the deck tech, but Unholy Heat is a very common removal spell in this format now as well, which when they have Delirium, they have access to that. We're doing Creativity for X's 2. I don't know. Depends on what they do here. If they like tap out again this turn, I'm probably just going to Creativity for X's 1. That's either Emrakul or Velomachus is probably good enough. There's no basic mountain in this deck. That's an interesting decision. I have net decked this chat. Dirty, filthy net decker. Look at the cards. Okay. Look at them. I cast Prismari Command here. I think I'm going to loot, make a treasure token. Then these. And then I think I'll go ahead and get rid of this Dragon Rage Chandler here. Yeah, the fact that, like, I was like, when it didn't offer me, I need to click on right away. I was like, wait, did I miss? And I was like, no, wait, there's instants and sorceries in there. But again, that's just like one of those instances where it's one of those instances where the Magic Online follows the rules of Magic the Gathering to the point of being cumbersome. Because, like, this card says, it says, look at them, then pick one. So, Magic Online did what the rules of Magic tell you to do, even if it was clunky and awkward and weird for it to be worded that way. Okay, so they could have an Unholy Heat here. We're going to lead on... Teferi, just in case. Oh, if they had Unholy Heat, they probably would have used it and attacked, right? Opponent concedes. God bless. Alright, so our opponent's deck probably just never beats Emrakul, right? Like, do we think their archetype ever beats Emrakul? And I think when the answer to that question is no, we're supposed to just, like, cut the Time Warps and the Velomachus and just be on the we're putting Emrakul into play plan. Yeah, Mana Symbol hangs out in chat on occasion. They posted a result in one of the challenges with this. Make Bolas great again. Thank you for the 27 months. Welcome back. So definitely want Dispute. I think I want Veil of Summer here. They'll spell Pierce and stuff in their deck post board. I could take or leave Aether Gust. It hits Ragavan and Dragon Rage Chandler, which is a very temporary solution to those cards. I kind of like this. I haven't been following everything related to the walkout that happened at Blizzard, but I am familiar with loosely familiar with the lawsuit that was filed in California. Yes, some really awful stuff. Is this good enough? They get one hit with Monkey. It might be right to just like mulligan an E7 that doesn't have a bolt or a prismatic ending in it. Hopefully they can't get Delirium with this in one turn, so Wrenn and Six can kill it. Would be ideal. They didn't have Baba last turn, so I feel like their odds of getting Delirium are low. Yikes. We'll see if they have a Spell Pierce here. Weird. What is in their hand? They're just like chilling. Getting on a Holy Heat burned on Wrenn and Six feels pretty good. You don't think the Murktide deck list runs Spell Pierce? Really? Well, they're playing Dispute instead. That makes sense. I'm going to wait and see what they do with this, but if they don't get Delirium off of this, it doesn't look like they are, I'm going to fetch Steam Vents and fight over this. Killing their threat is worth a lot here. If they like untap and Murktide here, I have Teferi Time Raveler. Would love for them to go land Murktide here. Alright, that's 2 Unholy Heats down. Get some 1/1s into play. Listen, just be happy for all of our wild cards and wallets. The Dragon Rage Chandler is not a rare, okay? Playing this out in the event that they have a third Unholy Heat and plussing it feels a little bit bad, but they're through 2 heat, so I'm going to go ahead and plus this to start. It's been warm up here too, Maka. Usually I take Haley out walking in the evening while I play some Pokemon Go, and like I haven't been able to leave for my walk until like 7 o'clock the last few nights. Oh, they have Snapcaster Mage. Huh. This isn't super common in this archetype, right? You thought we were bad guys yesterday? The deck we played yesterday was a steaming pile of garbage that's nowhere near a meta deck. If you're not playing Ragavan, you're probably the good guy in Modern at the moment. I'd be very surprised if Snapcaster Mage was in any of the Jumpstart packs. Yeah, I probably should have cantripped the Teferi. And it's crazy that red basically gets Hero's Downfall now. I think the Hammer Time deck's really good, but I don't think I'd describe it as the bad guy. Alright, 1 creativity off the top, please. Snappy is a 1 of in 40% of the decks. Okay. I mean, Emrakul flies, so if we draw one, if we draw creativity next turn, we've got a chance. Yeah, 1 mana Hero's Downfall at that. Oh, we're halfway there. Oh, lizard on a chair, take my hand. So do I play around I should play so I can play the land to play around Dispute, but I think we're actually supposed to play around a removal spell, right? So they're much more likely to have a Bolt here than they are to have Dispute. So you target both, even though we only have one thing to get post board here, because Mom's spaghetti, knees weak, arms are heavy. There's Emrakul on the board already. Look at that. Easy 2-0. Unholy heat this one. Should we also kill the Murktide? That's a fun thought. Yeah, maybe. Maybe you're supposed to also murder the Murktide. It's not a dwarf, it's a space station. As you will, deck full of discard spells, as you will. You want to prioritize using Bloodstained Mire and Wooded Foothills to fetch for your tapped lands first over Scalding Tarn and Arid Mesa, because there is 1 basic island and 1 basic plains in the deck, so Scalding Tarn and Arid Mesa are strictly better than these other red fetches, because these can get basics in addition to all of our Shocklands and Triomes. We'll grab some Ragu here. Grixis. There's been a Grixis control variation going around with a bunch of Snapcaster Mages and Kolaghan's commands. Sure. +1 draw card, chat. Yeah, can't play stuff like Papa Omnath. Interferes with your creativity. We should just creativity into Omnath. I don't know about that one. There's a third card type in the bin. They're just drawing Luris, huh? Interesting. I think I'm just casting Teferi. Question is, am I going up or down? I think I'm going up, because if they want to Unholy Heat Teferi, that's an Unholy Heat that's not going at Nahiri. So that ends up being a win for me, I think. The old Teferi hero of Hearthstone here. It's funny, the magic boomers out there want to complain that random elements make Magic too much like Hearthstone, when the real answer is this card made Magic too much like Hearthstone, chat. The Hearthstone was coming from inside the house all along. Alright, it may not look like it, but these are all 1/1 dwarves, chat. What's going on, Beansy? Thanks for the 24 months and for the very generous tier 3 and everything else you contributed here over the years. Welcome back. Are we snap bolting my my hero of my Teferi Time Raveler here? I think I might try and alt this Wrenn and Six. The deck command does not work while we are playing Boomer software. There'll be a deck list in the video description of the YouTube video this evening. This one's going to make it to YouTube, unlike yesterday's Dumpster Fire. Yesterday's deck was bad. So Wrenn and Six here, -7. You get an emblem that lets you retrace instants and sorceries out of the graveyard. So they have Luris in hand. If they don't have a way to push on this Wrenn and Six, we're gonna get to ulti him. Retrace, yes, for the Zoomers in the audience. Retrace lets you discard a land from your hand to recast an instant or sorcery from your graveyard. Okay. Well. And this is the real grind in their archetype is K Command plus Snapcaster Mage plus Luris allows them to grind out a lot. At some point, our deck will draw spells and it will be glorious, but, you know. It's kind of impressive to think about, too. We've only had, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spells in 17 cards or whatever. So I assume we're going to see Snapcaster K-Command here, or Snapcaster Expressive Iteration. It's hard for me to appreciate, like, the current opponent's archetype, because it's like, it's just another Mishra's Bauble Dragon Rage Chandler deck, Ragavan deck. Like, the seasoning around the edges is slightly different, sure, but at the end of the day, like, it's just another one of those, for lack of a better term. So their hand is Snapcaster Mage, Luris, one card we don't know at the moment. Well, Canister Stream Decker's deck command works for him. That's because Canister manually updates Stream Decker when he plays Magic Online. And it's 2021 and I'm not manually updating a plugin. Wow, just conceding. Deal. Deal, we take those. So, you're right, I could manually add the deck list, but that requires me to manually upload the deck list, switch my extension to Stream Decker, and then manually switch my Stream Decker back to Untapped when we switch to Arena. And that's a lot of hoops to jump through for some boomer software. So, in the fair matchups, are we always just, like, off Velomachus Time Warp? That feels like the case, huh? I feel like in the fair matchup, I just want to be off of these. It's Jeff Hoagland, not jump through Hoopsland. Exactly, got me. So Anger definitely seems good here. Veil seems great. I don't even know if Mystic Dispute is good here. We'll bring in a couple. Tagging Snapcaster on occasion seems fine. Hard Evidence, blocking. Ragavan seems decent. They've been crushing it. Caleb on his own raised almost 20 grand, which is absurd. CGB did 10. I think they're up to over 50 grand between everybody. Yeah, they're at 52,000 it looks like. Did awesome to see. Yeah, it's really incredible. Let's do this. CGB matched 5K. That's absurd. It's a lot of dollar reduce. This hand is so close. I guess they just like thought sees the Wrenn and Six and then it's not close. Can I YOLO this? I'm on the draw. I'm going to keep. Come on, Jeff. They don't have Thoughtseize. Sorry. Once they Inquisition me. Arano, thanks for the 33 months. Welcome back. Monkey. Any fetch land. Yikes. All right, so... just Steam Vents Bolt here. Ready to never draw land. My body is ready. Nailed it. Never didn't have it. And then once we hit the second fetch land, Wrenn and Six means we hit the third, and maybe even the fourth. Bauble is so gross with iteration. Just like yet another good card that happens to be good with this free spell. Yes, Wrenn and Six with fetches is very, very silly. There is a reason this is banned in Legacy. We did get a bunch of squirrels for Historic Horizons, which is exciting. Yes, in Legacy it was banned for picking up Wastelands. This is definitely true. Cordemi, thank you for the 35 months. Welcome back. Good morning, good morning. Bolt this one. The fact that Dwarven Mine even enters untapped is so sick. Ginger Weasel, thank you for the 9 months. Welcome back. Good morning, good morning. This site seems to have the most up-to-date spoilers. You have an actual factual countery spell here. They're taking my gal out back and drowning her in the lock. Oh no, chat. Nahiri can't swim. Chris, thanks for the 2.5 years. Good morning, good morning. All that equipment weighs her down. Yep. We've been doing daily spoiler review stuff, so... Alright, another 2-0. Sure. People really don't seem to like to play against this chat. They keep conceding. They keep packing it up, packing it in. Five decimal years. Thank you for the 50 months, Thought Not. That's a while. It's been a hot second. Good morning, good morning. She's a Lithomancer, not a Locomancer. How much is this deck in paper? I have no idea. Do you have fetch lands already? If you have the man, like, that's a very, like, if you're already a Magic player, some Magic players already have the mana base. Still the best Magic content. Shut up and take Bezos' money. Thanks to JoJo. What's going on, Fuzzy Thantos? Thanks for the 28 months. Welcome back. Wrenn and Six is $90 in paper. This card's a little bit of money too, right? I mean, so generally speaking, you only need to take one turn with Velomachus because you creativity for X is 2 and get Velomachus plus Emrakul. Is the loose idea. If that makes sense. So I think I want to decline letting them draw a card here, so I'm gonna fetch a tapped land, and then we'll go to my turn. Oh, I should have gotten the Ketria for the white. Or for the green. Whatever. Teferi's only like 20 bucks. Oh, that's cheaper than I thought. So we want to keep Prismatic Ending here because they're likely hammer time. Could be something else. We'll see. Yeah, likely hammer time, and this can kill a hammer. Oh, they're hardened scales. Sure. So there could be merit in holding this for something else down the line, but I think there's value in just using my mana this turn. Their deck's kind of aggressive. Could also be right to bolt this while they have nothing to put it on. There's an Inkmoth Nexus. Cashing out of paper magic's like finding a giant pile of money. Most of that stuff only goes up in price. Oh no, yeah, that's fine, right? I'm gonna plus here. So they're going to do this. I'm going to bolt the worker here in response. So the modular counter doesn't go anywhere. And then I assume they're going to activate this to make another friend here. And then our crab will chump block their 3/3/1 and attack. So this will make a friend plus fetch an artifact. And then Teferi will bounce one of these next turn. And if we find a creativity next turn, we should kill them. Statistically. So whenever my the guy that manages Christy and I's investment stuff, whenever he asks us about college stuff for the kids, I was just like, nah. We're either gonna reform college prices by the time my kids go to college, or I assume this country will be burning down, so I'm not super worried about it. Let's do the time warp again. It's just a jump to the left and a skip to the right. Put your hands on your hips. Do 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 do. Be do 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 do. You know what? Let's draw a card with this. Got a lot of Dwarven Mines queued up here. So they could like use Inkmoth Nexus to pressure my planeswalkers if they wanted. But do they want to do it, chat? That's not strictly true, Chuki. So there's for-profit colleges, but a lot of the cost in like public universities isn't necessarily from the universities being profitable as a business so much as it is them paying administrators far too much money. There's also other more complicated things than that too that go into the logistics of why it's expensive, but a large chunk of it is definitely administrative costs at this point. Lack of subsidies is also part of it too. All right, so we're kind of getting to a point here where we like need to spike a creativity. So 21 months, Jonah, welcome back. I'll keep Teferi alive here. So I have 3 Dwarven Mines left in my deck. Let's get these fetched out. Nahiri. I think I'm just taking a turn here. Because we can bounce this and then still keep the Teferi around with this line. I'll grab another dwarf. Hey, thanks for 16 months, Turnpike. Yeah, Moder's been decent. There's definitely a lot of Ragavan stuff, but I don't mind the play patterns they generate too much. Are largely very fair decks. All right, so let's start with, I guess if I use Teferi to downtick on the construct, they sacrifice it. Maybe I actually don't want to do that. Maybe I just draw a card, bouncing nothing. Yeah, I think I just draw a card, bouncing nothing, trying to combo them here. Just leave them this. Huh? I mean, I don't know what people expected from Pelosi, chat. Like, Pelosi's not a fascist, but she's certainly a corporate stooge. So, like, I'm not surprised. I'm sad that her comment about college education reform is what it is, but I also am not surprised that it was what it was. Turn these into a Velomachus and an Emrakul. It is an Arcbound Ravager. So we have 2 Time Warps and 35 cards here, because we did cast 2 of those already. Seven looks at 2 Time Warps. It'll do, pig. It'll do. Me. I take a turn. Do, 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 do. Okay, so we don't actually have that many cards for this matchup, which probably isn't a big deal, honestly. Looking at our main deck is like pretty decent here. We've got Bolt Ending and Prismari Command. Do I even want Anger? Like, a lot of their deck is things that get bigger. I'm honestly thinking we just click submit here. I think I'm just gonna click submit. This deck definitely feels very Splinter Twin adjacent. Some very interactive controlling elements, and then an oops, I gotcha. Got a little mom spaghetti going on. Easy mulligan here. Lorehold in the opener, and no second land. Time warps in the opener, also not great. I think we keep this one. We'll bottom a Dwarven Mine. All right, there's their namesake. All right, Hang Boy's definitely got to go, right? Let's just murder that one. Nahiri gets tapped artifacts. Is accurate. Malakan, thanks for the 12 months. I appreciate the entire year. Let's get you a sword to go with that shield. Welcome back. So they're using the Saga. They're going to get to fish something up with it. I think we're just Prismari commanding 2 things here. So I'll like command, kill 2 things, and then we can Teferi, bounce something, draw a card. Oh, you know what? I'm probably not supposed to play this fetch land since I drew the Steam Vents. I'm probably supposed to play the Steam Vents untapped. Because this could have been another Dwarven Mine to line. I'm going to fetch in response here, just so I don't get, like, Pit Thing needled off my fetch land, but them being cheeky. Oh, honey. So for reference, Grafdigger's Cage does not stop Indomitable Creativity. And for reference, even if it did stop Indomitable Creativity, you could destroy this with Indomitable Creativity. Hey, Sherwood Archer, thank you for the subgift. Good morning. Oh, I think you're right. I think it does stop Velomachus. It technically stops Velomachus from casting spells. That's fair. So when we creativity, we'll want to creativity this off the table. Noted. I'd love to see them just draw Luris this turn. That's pretty good. Okay, they're out of cards in hand, though, so that's nice. Okay. I think I'm waiting a turn on that. I think I want to just, like, Dwarven Mine here. Drawing this is the downside to not Dwarven Mining before I Nahiri, so probably should have sequenced that differently. Now, for those of you that aren't familiar with the interaction, Luris can recast X spells out of my opponent's bin, but the total cost can still only be 2. So they can recast Hangerback Walker with X equal 1 if they wanted. Huh. This leaves the battlefield? So if I Nahiri the Hangerback Walker, they still get the counters on the Ozolith? That's pretty good. Not anymore. Alright, so we'll do this here. And then we'll exile this. And then we'll hard evidence. And honestly, let's just draw a card. Let's fetch the Dwarven Mine and then draw a card. One mana Vindicate is in fact very good. Yeah, and their Cage, someone commenting, does stop them from recasting things with Luris, which is great. Yes, Teferi can send Urza Saga back to its hand because it explicitly lists the card types. It does not, what's the word I'm searching for? It does not, ooh, Shadow Smear. We're going to put that on the Thopter. It doesn't say non-land, yeah. It spells out enchantment specifically. Saga's an enchantment. Yep. So if they attack with both of these, we'll bolt the Thopter and then Nahiri down tick to deal with the Arcbound Worker. And we know their last card is Lurrus. Okay, that'll do pig. Maybe I'm supposed to hold on to the Dwarven Mine as something to discard to Nahiri in case I draw another good card next turn. God Baron Von YOLO Slag. You are closing in on 48 months. 43 is still a long time in and of itself. Thanks for the tier 3. Welcome back. So even though this Lurrus can't recast things from the bin, we do need to kill it with fire here because it'll pressure my Planeswalker otherwise. So I'll target you, and you. Opponent learning why they should not Grafdigger's Cage our deck. We're teaching, chat. We're teaching. Is our deck good? Yeah, I think this deck's great. It's put up a few results in the Modern challenges. It's had a few 5-0 results. Our deck, like I mentioned earlier, the deck, right? Like, the combo's a little bit off meta in terms of creativity being a card that doesn't see play, but like if you look past the combo core, the rest of the cards this deck is playing are like all very reasonable Magic the Gathering cards. Thanks for the year and a half, Moonlight. Welcome back. Reached a year and a half, which feels like 5. It's definitely, the last year and a half has definitely felt closer to 5. You're not wrong. I feel like Jacob's ready to ask me for the car keys and head on out. Kids are huge. Hard Evidence has been very good. Yeah, playing with this card, I kind of skimmed over this in the spoiler review for Historic, but seeing how this card's playing out in this set, I definitely think this will be a 4 of in the Creativity decks in Historic. It's very, very good. Hey, Immortal. Good to see you around again. I saw you in chat a couple of times recently, and thanks for the Prime again. Good morning and welcome back. We're on the play. I can't keep one land Wrenn and Six in good conscience on the play. I'd probably be greedy and YOLO it on the draw, but I think on the play I'm gonna make the right play. This hand's not great, but we'll keep it. One of the funny things like about this deck in Modern is like this hand technically has half the combo in it, right? Like this is 3 mountains, Dwarven Mine. So like we're just a creativity away from flipping a thing into play. Nahiri the Harbinger shuffles Emrakul back in, and Prismari Command shuffle Emrakul back in. Because Emrakul has that clause, if you discard it, shuffle. That anti-reanimate clause. Nice, Echoes. Alright, looks like we've got some Enchantress on the other side of the table here. Yes, anti-sorcery speed reanimate. Made a little bit of a liar out of my shirt with this this mulligan this turn, chap. Is it just this set, or is Modern slowed down a bit? No, Modern has definitely slowed down. And part of that is the types of decks that have become good with Modern Horizons 2 as a release, but another part of it is definitely what's the word I'm searching for? Is definitely the fact that that they banned Simian Spirit Guide and Mox Opal. Spirit Guide and Opal were always the most degenerate enablers in Modern, and they're gone now. The things that were consistently popping off before turn 4 were largely abusing those cards. Faithless Looting's ban was also a godsend to Modern in terms of slowing things down. All right, well, shit. BT dubs. The opponent's archetype is largely trash tier, except they occasionally steal games with Blood Moon. And we might still get them here. If we can bounce, we can fetch basic planes, and then we can Nahiri, but we'll see. If they have a creature to play out here to pressure the Teferi, we're probably in trouble. Just an Enchantress presence. Okay. I'm going to hold on to this because it doesn't currently make a token. Oh, they have Sterling Grove now. Right. Okay, so we're probably locked out unless we draw exactly basic planes. I guess we could draw basic island too. Well, how do I get tokens to combo Sherwood Archer? So I can cast this card, but I can't get tokens into play. Yeah, these now all have Shroud. This doesn't make a dwarf. Chat. I can't say that I've missed these games of Modern. Or we just like sit here and do nothing because we've been a little unlucky while the opponent sits here with their deck that got a little bit lucky that's normally not very good. We'll bring in some Aether Gusts and some Spell Pierces for the next game. Yeah, our deck has basic plains and basic island. Hey, we're bound to lose a game at some point. Might as well be to an incredibly high variance card. Is this a matchup where I need Velomachus? Probably not. Are we just on the Emrakul plane here? I think we're just on the Emrakul plane here, right? They have a lot of creatures that we care about, so I think Bolt is right to keep in. Yeah, they have lots of permanents, but, like, they're probably not winning the game after they sacrifice 6 of them, right? Prismari Command is card selection. It kills their creatures that we care about, and it makes us treasure tokens to Indomitable Creativity off of. Prismari Command is not a card you ever cut in this deck. Even when there's not artifacts to blow up, you use all 3 other modes. Command does a little bit everything. I think we keep this. We'll grab Stomping Grounds, and then Wrenn and Six back the fetch land. And then this is the part where they turn 2 Blood Moon us, and I just concede because life's too short. Zen Mate, thanks for the follow. I'm sure some try-hard modern player will be watching this YouTube video at some point in the future, and they'll comment that they're upset that I conceded to Blood Moon. Ooh, that's nice. So, do we play around the Blood Moon then? I'm going to be a little greedy here and not play around the Blood Moon. They didn't have it last turn. I'm going to fetch the Steam Vents, and I'm going to Aether Gust the Enchantress Presence, and then pick this back up. So this can hopefully tempo them off drawing a card. And then next turn we can go basic Plains Nahiri. Alright, we'll take 1 draw step, and then I'm conceding. So I could have theoretically played around the Blood Moon in that second game, but I think there's also a very likely chance that if I choose to fetch basic Plains there, and I leave the Enchantress Presence in play, my opponent gets to draw 2 to 3 additional cards that next turn, and we likely end up losing that game anyways because they generated a giant pile of card advantage, so... Like I said, the opponent's deck gets to win when it punks people out with Blood Moon, and when it's not punking people out with Blood Moon, it's quite bad. So, not really anything I'm going to do to change anything there. We'll just move on with our lives. If you want to see the Enchantress deck in action to see the shortcomings that I'm talking about, more so than just my comments when we're playing against it here, there's a video of it up on the YouTube channel. Yeah, it's more of a testament that, like, you can put Blood Moon with acceleration and then, 63 other cards and you'll still win some amount of games in Modern because that's how Blood Moon works. Grab Sacred Foundry here and just Prismatic Ending this before it can start surveilling for them. I think I largely disagree with you, extras. Like, our deck has a bunch of fetch lands and only needs a single basic to cast its other spells, and we have plenty of cards that cast off that single basic that interact with the Blood Moon. So Blood Moon's just a shit tier design that's high variance, but I think the idea that our deck in general is really bad against Blood Moon is pretty silly. Especially when you consider the fact that, like, if they don't have it, like, super early on turn 2 or 3 and I've already generated a couple of tokens, I can just draw Creativity and cast it and kill them despite the Blood Moon. So, we definitely got by it there, but Blood Moon's a card that, like, gets people. That's why it's somewhat playable. You've countered my hard evidence. Got me. Careful with the mod commands there, Martian. They don't ban Blood Moon because, one, it's not very good, and two, Magic the Gathering is a game that's riddled with cards that are incredibly high variance that create feel-bad moments. Creating feel-bad moments is a core part of the Magic the Gathering card design. It is a feature, it is not a bug. Because there are lots of players that love creating that type of experience for their opponent. Let's lean on Teferi here. People like gambling. Gambling is fun. Cards like Blood Moon that are basically roll the dice, you might win the game or it might do... Like, Blood Moon's a card that basically says, roll a d20. If you roll a 15 or higher, you win the game. If you roll a 10 to 15, your opponent's annoyed. If you roll a 1 to 9, this card does nothing. Like, as much as people complain about, you know, they don't like high variance cards like that, that's basically what a card like Blood Moon is, right? It's basically telling you to roll dice, and if you roll the correct number, you're going to win the game. If you don't roll the correct number, like, nothing happens. Ermagerd, we get to combo chat. More Dwarven Mines targets. Pippity pop, the fun don't stop. Don't you dare spell pierce me. Hello, friends. Let's do the time warp again. Do 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 do. Boo do 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 do. Boo do 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 do. And again, against these fair decks, I'm just cutting the Velomachus and the Time Warps and boarding in other things. I think we want Anger, Veil of Summer, and a Mystic Dispute in this matchup. Correct. The opponent's archetype is a deck that doesn't beat Emrakul, which is why you see me board out the Velomachus here. The Velomachus Time Warp package in this deck is basically here to race other combo decks and aggro decks for when you need to win the turn you combo. But against decks like this opponent where they just can't beat an Emrakul, and it's not critical that I kill them the turn I pop off, we'll board out that package and just leave Emrakul in. I don't think I want more disputes. I think just like one dispute, one veil is fine. I largely just want to keep the board clear here with things like bolts, endings, angers, and commands, because if I can kill their stuff, we have plenty of time to find our combos. If I board out the Time Warp package every game, we played against a lot of fair decks, so yes. There are actually a number of variations of this archetype that aren't playing the Time Warp package, they're just playing Emrakul. And I would assume that that's part of why. But also, again, remember, I definitely think, thinking, if you look, one of the things people focus on too much is that Jeff, you've boarded out Velomachus and Time Warp every game. Should we be playing it? And the question you should really be asking yourself is, what are we boarding in when we're doing it? And if you look at the games that I've played, while I've cut the Velomachus package in every match, the cards I'm boarding in have been different, right? And this is a good example of game 1 versus game 2 cards, where game 1, I have this proactive package / strategy in my deck, and then games 2 and 3, I'm cutting that extra proactiveness for whichever interaction happens to be good in the particular matchup that I'm playing. So just because I'm frequently cutting it doesn't mean it's bad and I should get rid of it. Huh. It's a lot of rage over there, chat. Why are you so angry, opponent? I get to kill one of them. Fortunately, Wrenn and Six is gonna go down after that. This game's probably gonna be a runaway, I'd assume. We didn't draw any of our... We could draw Anger of the Gods next turn, but if we don't draw Anger next turn, I assume we're just mostly dead here. Because like in Delver of Secrets, you can flip even if you're unlucky. Dragon Rage Chandler is actually the Hulk. It's a good way to put it. Joke's on you, opponent. I've cleverly left my Anger of the Gods on top of my deck where you can't Inquisition it. Ha 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 ha. This has been a fairly quick league. We've run people down or gotten punked by Blood Moon. Have been the modes that we've done. All right, so we're going to 6. Arid Mesa puts us to 5. We'll fetch plains, we'll make a treasure, and we'll loot. So, Bolt Snap Bolt here. The Finn channel, thanks for the follow. Good morning. We need a mountain for Dwarven Mine. No, we'll get a treasure token. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we were dead there either way. You're right. Alright, so we don't beat triple Dragon Rage Chandler when we only draw 1 removal spell. Weird. And our deck has a lot of removal spells, but we mulliganed to 6 and got Inquisition, so like, not a whole lot you could do there. That's why the opponent's deck is good, and typically speaking, exemplifies what good decks are in Modern, right? Like, the opponent's deck is interactive, but it's very akin to the old Death Shadow decks, right? While it has a lot of interactive elements, it also has those, okay, I drew a bunch of Dragon Rage Chandlers and Ragavan Nut Draws where you just run your opponent over. So it isn't strictly the interaction that makes the opponent's archetype good so much as it is the plethora of good, powerful, proactive draws. The pressure is more important than the disruption. is Raisuko. Now, we could get in a little bit of trouble here if they have Unholy Heat for Wrenn and Six, and I don't draw land. Oh, I guess they could just dash Monkey it too. Yep. Okay. Yep. So, had 3 very convincing wins. Then it's going to look like 2 losses to some rough variants here. It's Magic the Gathering for you. Okay. Oh, we're halfway there. Oh, lizard on a chair, take my hands. We'll make it, I swear. We're going to loot, make a treasure token. Okay. So we're definitely bidding Teferi. I think it's Mystic Dispute. It's Mystic Dispute or Hard Evidence. I think it's Mystic Dispute. And then we'll go ahead and Prismatic Ending this before they untap. We have a shot here. Opponent's got a lot of cards in hand. They missed their land drop, so we know the opponent currently has 6 spells. Hopefully they draw land and they go, Luris, Recast Dragon, Rage Chandler, but I assume they have a bunch of counter spells they want to hold up here, and they're not going to do that. Just bobble. Yeah, it's the conservative play for sure. Yeah, I'm supposed to keep that and just YOLO the creativity this turn. Yeah, they could have Spell Pierce. Goodbye, friends. Hey, look, chat, more dwarves. The 1-1 beat down. Do-do-do-do. Be-do-do-do-do. Be-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do. Be-do-do-do-do. I think I'm gonna loot, make a treasure token after we fetch up another dwarf. That's sad. Maybe I should have waited to do this until I had 2 cards I wanted to discard. Yeah, I think we just play Wrenn and Six now. There's another Dwarven Mine. It's a real shame we had to bin the second creativity. Wow, super punished. Yeah, I think we're dead, huh? I guess we can peel another one, but pretty unlikely we're through 2 of them. There's 37 cards in our deck. Hey, Raphael, thanks for the raid. Hope you had a great stream, and thanks for putting together everything for the charity stuff. Looks like it was an incredibly successful event overall. Really awesome thing to be a part of. $52,000. That's an absurd number. You get Bolt Stamp bolted here after I fetch. I assume that's what's about to happen. Yeah, so I had some choices we could have made differently in that game. It definitely didn't help that we stumbled at the beginning. I don't think that there was anything we could really meaningfully do about the game we got Blood Mooned out of. We, could have theoretically played around Blood Moon in the second game, but it would have put us pretty far behind the opponent, pretty far ahead. And there was, no guarantee that, they were going to have... No guarantee that they were going to have the Blood Moon in that position anyways. So, alright. This deck was pretty sweet, though, overall. I think I liked the Time Warp Velomachus package here a lot. I think having that, and we kind of talked about this in the 4th game a lot, but just put a concise wrap up at the end. I think having this kind of proactive plan where when you creativity in game 1, you're likely to kill them because you get Emrakul and Velomachus is really helpful, and then boarding these out in the slower, more fair matchups for particular interaction, whether it's Anger to clean out the Lurrus creatures, or it's Mystic Dispute to fight counter spells against things like the Murktide decks, felt very reasonable. And this deck's interactive core felt just super good, right? Bolt and Prismatic Ending are both great cards right now. Prismari Command is both a combo enabler, making treasure tokens for the creativities, but it also lets us loot through to find our other combo pieces, as well as getting to deal damage and destroy artifacts to help you stay alive. And honestly, one of the most powerful things about this deck archetype, coming from playing the historic when I had a whole bunch, is just having a bunch of access to Dwarven Mine is really good. Not only was the Dwarven Mine great because then you basically only have to draw creativity as a combo card, but it's also great at keeping our planeswalkers alive, right? There are multiple spots in those games where fetching Dwarven Mines and making tokens kept Wrenn and Six or Teferi or Nahiri alive in key spots to let our planeswalkers kind of take over the game as opposed to just strictly combo killing them. Alright, at any rate, that's going to wrap on Modern for this morning.